to the press to avoid misinforming the public on sensitive issues. More on security, the Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar has emphasized the importance of air safety culture in the deployment of its platforms to combat emerging security challenges. The Air Chief gave this indication at a seminar on enhancing safety maintenance at the Tactical Air Command headquarters in Makurdi. Achigili Magaji reports that the Chief of Air Staff was represented by the Chief of Standards and Evaluation, Air Marshal John Baba.
Studies indicate that majority of air accidents and incidents occur because of inadequate safety consciousness and practice. This informed the seminar, which is designed to facilitate free exchange of views and ideas by major stakeholders and practitioners with the aim of enhancing safety practices in aircraft maintenance in the Nigerian Air Force. Air Vice Marshal John Baba, who conveyed the Air Chief's message, stressed that the seminar is part of his vision to reposition the Nigerian Air Force.
Safety is acknowledged as a shared responsibility that requires synergy between regulators, operators, and other stakeholders.
The Air Officer Commanding Tactical Air Command Makudi, Air Vice Marshal Ishaq Almao, noted that the consistent airworthiness in aircraft maintenance is a complex discipline that requires constant updates. The technical sessions were in the areas of inculcating safety in aircraft maintenance and imbibing safety procedures in its operation. In Makudi, Achigili Magaji, NTA News.
That was the Chief of Air Staff represented by the Chief of Standards and Evaluation, Air Vice Marshal John Baba. More on security, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria has reopened the runway of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, after a Gulfstream 4 aircraft overshot the runway while landing at about 8 p.m. yesterday. The aircraft got stuck on the end safety area, which led to the partial closure of the runway. The General Manager Corporate Affairs, FAN, Yakubu Henrietta, assures airlines and passengers that the airport is safe for normal operations. And now to agriculture. Agriculture is a matter of national and food security. It is in this regard that the House Committee on Agriculture and Production Services put together a capacity development training for officials of federal and state ministries of agriculture. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has more.
The training with the theme, Repositioning Agriculture as an Alternative Source of Revenue Generation for Financial Buoyancy and Economic Independence in Nigeria, provided a platform to bring participants up to speed on the state of the nation as a major player in global economy.
In 2016 alone, the demand for rice was around 5.2 million tons. But Nigeria was able to meet the demand for 2.3 million tons of rice, which were imported in 2016.
Chairman House Committee on Agriculture and Production Services, Representative Tahir Mungunu, said the commitment so far portrayed by the President Muhammadu Buhari administration to expand agribusiness in Nigeria through various interventions require effective legislation that would make the sector more vibrant to cope with global demand.
There is a paradigm shift of viewing agriculture purely from a developmental perspective to a perspective where agriculture is fairly viewed as a business so that it will generate a source of living, particularly for our teeming unemployed youths.
The First Republic depended on agriculture, and they did well. Nobody was singing corruption, corruption.
Matters brought under close examination as challenges of the sector today relate to access to land, fertilizer and loans among other inputs, all of which are essential to achieve maximum outputs and benefits. Participants at this workshop were in agreement that improving agricultural value chain from the point of research to production, processing and marketing will enhance the economic value of the sector. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Thanks, Lami. Now, personnel of various ministries, departments and agencies, as well as the private sector, converged on Abuja to synergize on how to actualize the Sustainable Development Goals, not forgetting the African Union Agenda 2063. Chukunonso Nwabweze reports.
With the United Nations 2015 report on Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, acknowledging an uneven achievements and shortfalls in many areas of the 8-goal agenda, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs Agenda 2030, which includes poverty eradication, gender equality, quality education, amongst others, as well as the 7 aspirations and 20 goals of the African Union Agenda 2063, are all post-2015 development agenda, which targets to fill in the gaps in the MDGs. However, to ensure that Nigeria is not found wanting in the realization of these current agendas, these participants, drawn from different ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as the private sector, are brainstorming in Abuja on better ways of implementing the UN SDGs Agenda 2030 and the AU Agenda 2063 in the country.
By collaboration with the MDAs that we're here, we get to know each other's mandates and we get to know where we can identify our gaps so that the government will know.
So what we, the MBA, are here to do is to provide advocacy and direction and publicity for this matter.
This workshop is a welcome development because it's going to focus on two areas of interest to us. One is the protection of children's rights, and the second is the overarching rights-based approach to the implementation of the SDGs.
But how far has Nigeria fared in actualizing the goals?
The present administration has a plan, and the plan is ERGP. So they have said the plan, they have added by ease of doing business, executive order, all these are given to ensure that Agenda 2063 is being implemented and achieved in Nigeria.
The National Human Rights Commission, as a national human rights institution, has the mandate to promote and facilitate the implementation of all human rights instruments that Nigeria is a party to.
The 2-day workshop is at the instance of the National Human Rights Commission. Chukunonso Nwabweze, NTA News.
NIMASA partners NTA on maritime development. This and other stories as we join Lagos for details. Over to you, Dotun.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Lagos. Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has assured residents that the state government will continue to support all voluntary youth and non-governmental organizations whose programs tend towards youth development and helping humanity. The governor gave the assurance during his investiture as the patron of the Lagos State Scout Council in Alausa, Ikeja. Nosa Usula reports.
You, sir, want to be a scout? Yes, I do. My honor will be kept through my duties to God and my country, Nigeria.
Can I trust you on your honor to do your best?
Those were the governor and his deputy, Dr. Idiat Adebule, taking their scout promise as the patron and matron of the Boy Scouts and Girls Guide, respectively. According to Governor Ambode, voluntary organizations like the Scouts Association, comprising the Boy Scouts, Girls Guide, Boys and Girls Brigade, Sheriff Guard, Red Cross, and others whose programs promote unity and peaceful coexistence are critical to the survival, growth, and development of the country.
I urge you to stay true to your highly encouraging vision statement, which says that by 2023, Scouting will be the world's leading educational youth movement, enabling 100 million young people to be active citizens.
You should be disciplined, you should have tolerance, you should be dedicated to your country, and you should do the best that you can do to ensure that the people, your neighbors, everybody around you, that they are happy.
By 2023, Scouting will be the world's leading educational youth movement, enabling 100 million young people to be active citizens, creating positive change in their communities.
The State's Commissioner for Youth and Social Development, Agbola Dabiri, advised youths to consolidate on the efforts of the state's government and well-meaning organizations. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, and the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, are partnering to create sustainable enlightenment on ongoing reforms in the maritime industry. Director General of NIMASA, Dr. Kuku Peterside, at a meeting with the management of the Lagos Network Center, says the agency hopes to employ the national reach of the NTA to communicate the benefits in the emerging blue economy. Paul Omukago has more on this partnership.
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, is working assiduously to reform the maritime sector and optimize the economic benefits. With Africa reputed to be the world's biggest untapped maritime market, the need to highlight these opportunities and recent initiatives to position the sector properly has become imperative. The visit of the NTA Lagos Network Center to NIMASA is therefore to explore a partnership that can promote the nation's maritime industry. The management, led by the Zonal Director, Pius Oje, presented a number of proposals to the agency to enable Nigerians get to hear and appreciate current development in the maritime sector.
We would like to have a relationship with you in terms of collaboration. We want to have quarterly documentaries with NIMASA. We have to get NIMASA have a weekly program in NTA Network.
No matter what you're doing really, if there's no effective communication, you don't achieve much. So what we've done actually is going to come up with a couple of, what might be some kind of strategies based upon what essentially is our own knowledge and capacities and competencies.
Director General of NIMASA, Dakuku Peterside, alluded to NTA being a national brand with national reach.
We're a service organization. Ours is regulatory. In regulation, the ultimate beneficiary of regulation is the people. And so the people will not appreciate what you're doing if they don't know what you're doing.
The partnership between the NTA and NIMASA is expected to create more awareness on happenings in the maritime sector. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
Nigerians have been advised not to combine traditional and orthodox medicine to avoid complications that could lead to death. The guest speaker at the annual African Traditional Medicine Day celebration, Reverend Father Anselm Adodo, stated this in Lagos. Imoleayo Tokede has details.
The theme for this year's Department of Pharmacognosy African Traditional Medicine Day is effective and safe use of herbs. The event, which is aimed at creating awareness for African herbal medicine, is also to promote the well-being of the users. The guest speaker, Reverend Father Anselm Adodo, stated that lack of standardization and safety, as well as lack of scientific proof of herbs' efficacy, are the major criticisms the herbal medicine is facing.
We are focusing on using herbal medicine as drug, and that has to be regulated and well documented.
Organizers of the event are calling on the government to work out a policy that will harmonize both traditional and orthodox medicine for the benefits of Nigerians.
Most of these things are what our forefathers have been using even before us, and from experience and from the research we are doing, we know that many of them are very effective.
Some participants comment.
Whatever it is that we have as local plants, we can convert it in treatment of malaria, in treatment of typhoid, but also will be revenue generation.
Speakers at this year's African Traditional Medicine Day are of the view that to ensure proper standards in local manufacturing of traditional medicine, a regulatory framework and the right economic environment is required. In Lagos, Imoleayo Tokede, NTA News.
Those are the stories making the rounds in Lagos. Stay tuned for more after this timeout.
It's not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
For years, the NTA has been promoting science, technology, arts and crafts under the tagged name National Children's Expo. We are set with another edition as we gather children around Nigeria, junior category ages 6 to 12 and senior category ages 13 to 18. The theme for Expo 2018, achieving self-sufficiency in agriculture, meeting the challenges of security and exposition of alternative energy as pathways to national development. Date, October 21st to 25th, 2018. Venue, NTA Headquarters Arena, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. We are set to celebrate the best of innovation across the country. For more information, please call the following numbers. NTA ETV, promoting learning.
This larger community has so many problems, and at the top of that challenge is water. It's something they've been praying that someday, somehow, something good would happen, such as having potable water. Take these children out of poverty, please.
When it comes to 30,000 naira, 30,000 naira to somebody is 1,000,000 naira.
I just applied online. I did not know anybody.
I'm under carpenting. I was given saw, bar, tenon saw, hammer.
Federal government is able to mobilize me by giving me one iPad to aid me in carrying out my exercise.
So the money that was given to me, I was able to establish some little farm, and this building we are standing on.
I also have a goat that I train.
But with the inception of the Empower, I've been able to do some little contribution that have actually helped me to put the money together and been able to service people.
My thanks goes to the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, for this thing that he has done for the youth of Nigeria. So we are grateful.
It's game on at North Taste Quest 5. Get your kitchen weapons ready. Get your skills warmed up, because in this game, the seasoned warrior wins. Get ready for North Taste Quest 5, the special anniversary season, showing on DSTV Africa Magic Family and GoTV Africa Magic on Sundays at 7 p.m. and 6 p.m. on NTA and AIT. North Taste Quest, Battle of Flavors.
Thanks for being there. Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano has inaugurated 3 new members of the State's Judicial Service Commission. Uchenna Nwokoye reports that the new members replaced 3 others whose tenure have expired.
The new members include former Deputy Governor of the state, Emeka Sibodo, a professor of law at the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Professor Ogogo Ikpeze, and a retired Deputy Director of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Benedict Obi. The 3 new members are to complement 3 other 7 members led by the Chief Judge of the State, Justice Peter Umadi. Governor Obiano, however, challenged them to bring to bear their wealth of experience in adding value to the programs and policies of the state government.
It's a very important organ, like you've been told, both privately and now. Among other duties that you have, like appointment of judges, discipline in the judiciary, and many other auxiliary jobs that you heard.
The new members of the commission promised to justify the confidence reposed in them.
It's because of the trust that is reposed on us that he made this appointment. So we thank him, and then we had also promised him that we won't let him down, and then in the Anambra.
It's quite demanding. So one needs special grace of God to be able to discharge all the duties.
Judicial Service Commission is empowered by the Constitution to nominate for appointment or recommend for removal of judicial officers.
They are seized with the responsibility of looking into the affairs of the judiciary.
I just want to advise them to be honest with it
to be committed to it, to be dedicated to their duty.
From the Governor's Lodge, Amobia, Uchenna Nwekoyo, NTA News.
And now to financial matters. Financial experts at the Conference on Illicit Financial Flow are asserting the need for collaboration among African countries in combating illicit financial flow and asset recovery. Basi Itaipang tells us more.
Conference focused on the policy measures, tools and strategies to effectively tackle illicit financial flows and strengthen asset recovery as recommended by the African Union.
Recovery itself, there is some enthusiasm of the foreign country, especially advanced countries, to recover. But they recover and keep within their own system rather than return to the country of origin.
We need to join up and work more, continue to work more collectively, as certainly my former government, the UK government, and others have done over a number of years to work with their Nigerian counterparts and others to help continue on this long journey of getting assets back to the country from where they were stolen from.
Participants were of the opinion that transition and developing economies are most susceptible to illicit financial flows and stressed the need for countries to extend scrutiny to all phases of the chain to curb such.
National leaders in Nigeria as well as other African countries as to different components of illicit financial flow.
We've learned a lot in how Nigeria is managing how it is managing to recover from all the money which is going to the Western countries, and from that we are also benefiting, and we'll take this to our country. And also,
the conference therefore underlines the need to harness the full potential of existing policy frameworks as transformative instruments for economic growth and poverty reduction. Basi Taipang, NTA News.
Meanwhile, financial experts have advised the Nigerian banking sector to look for better windows for profit-making and stop excessive and frequent exploitation of customers in the name of service charge. This was submission of guests on NTA's Current Affairs program, Good Morning Nigeria. Serafina Okon has more.
Though banks are in business for profits making, however, the frequent bank charges in Nigeria, guests on the program said, is outrageous and exploitative, as it ranges from SMS alerts, ATM card maintenance charges, transfers, account statements, and many more undisclosed charges.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has a banking supervision department. We need to understand to what extent the CBN monitors the strict compliance to this banker's tariff. The other thing I also want to point out is that if you look at practices in places like UK and the United States of America, at some point in the 70s and 80s, the issues of charges had to be withdrawn because competition made them withdraw it.
Shuaibu Idris, former banker and financial analyst, and Obadiah Melafia, former deputy governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, said there is need to create awareness and share knowledge on how to detect and reduce bank charges.
Technology should and must be a basis for which charges, bank charges should come down, but instead what we are witnessing in Nigeria is technology is giving these banks even the opportunity to even charge more.
It's a generalized collapse of our moral and ethical framework. So that is a major problem. For me, the punishment is not enough. Look, I've known people in business that have been bankrupted by their banks.
They, however, advise banks to focus on pragmatic ideas that promote higher level of professional conduct in service delivery by way of encouraging small and medium-scale enterprises. Obina Urakpa, former banker, appealed to institutions concerned to adhere with the financial guidelines while asking regulatory agencies like the Central Bank of Nigeria and NGIC to sanction banks involved in sharp practices. Serafina Okon, NTA News.
On the environment. Residents of a community in Ijebu-Ode, local government area of Ogun State, are living in fear while the community is becoming deserted over the effect of gully erosion eating deep into the area. Yemi Dalemo captures the pain of the residents.
Is a peaceful community in Djibouti now being threatened by about 100 feet gully, which started like a 2 feet wide waterway. Residents of the area said the problem started when the Ogun State government abandoned a water channelization project in the community, after which the erosion coming from Djibouti township was directed into the area instead of providing water channel for the erosion into the nearby Owa River. According to Alhaji Tunde Agbomabimo, the gully had claimed over 50 houses, with more than 10 landlords losing their lives over the destruction caused by the fast expanding gully to their properties. He explained that residents now live in fear and afraid of sleeping in their houses, as the situation is getting more worse on a daily basis.
We want government to help us. Good people of Nigeria as well, we are calling on you to please help us.
74-year-old Pamashika Desowo, whose properties and bakery have craved in, said he is losing hope in the government after reporting the situation to the Federal Minister of Environment. Mrs. Matilda Banjo lost her father's property to the ravaging gully and has now divided his house into two, giving a portion to the gully for further damage, while her mother and other siblings lives on the other half.
Well, no one will be happy with what we have seen there. All we want is the intervention of the government.
There's nothing we want than to call on the government to come and render the necessary assistance before it goes further.
Other residents and property owners in the area said they have lost means of livelihood worth several millions of naira and are now appealing to both Ogun State government and the federal government to urgently intervene. Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
Our next report from Mina says not less than 9 lives were lost in a canoe mishap in River Borno, Sabon Shata village, Shiroro local government area of Niger State. Mukhtar Abubakar Wowo reports that the dead include a nursing mother and her 1-year-old child.
Eyewitness accounts allege that a 13-seater capacity canoe loaded with 10 passengers was overturned by a sudden overflow of water on the river. The canoe operator who survived the accident added that he rescued a 6-year-old boy and was overwhelmed by the water while trying to rescue more people.
For water increase, so the water comes sharp. It goes do corner for.
It was same canoe that conveyed me to the other side of the river.
I wanted to help rescue some of the victims, but I could not.
Some canoe operators on the river who pleaded anonymity hinted that the canoe operator in question overloaded the canoe with 10 passengers as against the seating capacity of the canoe. The village head of Sabon Shata, Muhammad Abubakar Bako, appealed to the Niger State government to construct a bridge on the river and access road, considering the economic importance of the area.
Government should help us because we experience so many calamities and lost lives as well as properties in that water.
It will be recalled that when a similar accident occurred on River Kaduna in Shiroro local government area of the State Emergency Management Agency said they will make provision of safety wears for people traveling on water.
We come up with a very holistic approach to it, and that is why we have a little delay.
As at the time of filing this report, 4 dead bodies were recovered, while 5 are still missing. Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
Thanks, Mukhtar. Next on flooding. As part of strategic efforts for rise to the challenges of imminent flooding, the Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Mehaja, is asking the disaster unit of the military to remain on red alert for possible evacuations as rivers and dams continue to overflow in the country. The NEMA boss made the request when he visited the Logistics Command of the Nigerian Air Force in Lagos. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu has more.
These are some of the aircraft set aside by the Nigerian Air Force for possible evacuation in the event of imminent flooding as predicted by NISA. The Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Mehaja, is physically on ground here in Lagos at the heavy airlift unit of the Logistic Command of the Nigerian Air Force to see the facilities on ground for possible evacuation. Available research shows that dams and rivers are already spilling water as the latest water level is put at 10.66% as against the initial volume of 10.01% less than 1 week ago. Similarly, all indices of the floods of 2012 have resurfaced in 2018 with continuous heavy rains likely to pose more danger to the lives of the people. Last week's predictions by the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency indicates that 12 states are likely to be affected in the event of imminent flooding. The Director General of NEMA convened a stakeholders' emergency meeting to strategize on ways of rising to the unfolding challenge. In view of this threat, NEMA has commenced a visitation to military formations in charge of search and rescue across the country, with a visit to Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, and Sokoto states. While in Lagos, at the Logistics Command of the Nigerian Air Force and the Naval Base Disaster Response Command, the NEMA boss expressed satisfaction with the level of preparedness and facilities on ground.
The state of preparedness is up, the facilities are there, and like the AOC has explained, even simulation exercise has taken place.
We organized the simulation exercise, and with that, we are well positioned and ready.
There are functional helicopters that can be used for any operation in disaster management.
The visit to military formations will continue in Ogun, Osun, Kwara, and Ekiti states. In Lagos, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide. Jigawa holds political roundtable in readiness for 2019 general elections. Details with Rukaya in Kaduna. Over to you.
Welcome to Kaduna Network Center. Ahead of 2019 general elections, a one-day roundtable on politicians and political ideology has been held in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital, with participants agreeing to sensitize people on the need for issue-based campaigns. Awal Muhammad Kazauri has details.
Few months to 2019 general elections, already political activities have picked up in Jigawa state, with political pressure groups and civil society organizations sensitizing both politicians and followers on the need for decorum. This event, put together by Dutse Metropolitan Group, is to promote peaceful conduct and promote politics of ideology rather than selfish motives for the development of the nation. Jigawa State Deputy Governor harps on the youth to take the advantage of not too young to run opportunity provided by present administration.
We have a system now where most voters are of the opinion that their votes count. Or they counted the last time and they hope that they will count as we go along.
We decide to center on this theme to remind people within the metropolis and outside, in fact the whole country, that politics should be about ideology. You should stand for something and you should be agitating for that thing. That ideology is what will dictate your agenda when you win office.
Political scientists, politicians, and other strata of the society hinge on politics without bitterness and issues-based campaigns. From Dutse, Awal Muhammad Kazaure, NTA News.
And Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON, has sealed some shops in Kano following alleged smuggling of substandard textile materials into the country, in spite of the federal government ban on importation of such materials. Awal Salisu has the story.
The substandard textile materials stored in 8 warehouses in various locations within Kano metropolis, allegedly smuggled by some suspected traders. The team of operation led by the coordinator of the unit, Suleiman Alaji Issa, said the activities of such traders is counterproductive to the nation's economy.
Then there is also the economic implication. Now, the import of these substandard products is the reason why all our local factories have closed down.
Head of Textile and Leather Laboratory of the organization, Mr. Bitrus Joshua, said apart from being substandard, the materials have health implications.
This is one of the critical parameters, the composition. Once a failed composition by our standard, it is considered to be substandard because in our standard we have criteria for conformity. By this test, it has failed.
The organization therefore sealed the affected warehouses pending the outcome of the investigation. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
More than 1,500 recruits who have undergone training at the Nigerian Air Force Ground Training Command Kaduna are set to pass out from the command. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun reports that awards were presented to the best performing recruits at beating of the retreat ceremony.
Beating of the retreat is an age-long tradition in military warfare dating back to the 16th century, which was first used to recall nearby patrol units to their castle. The ceremony, among other things, featured firing of cannon by the graduating recruits partitioned into 4 squadrons. Best graduating recruits in drill, weapon handling, and obstacle crossing, among other military training, were presented awards.
And you have a duty to put the service first in whatever you do. You must therefore be loyal at all times and prepared to defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The recruits will pass out next Friday. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun, NTA News.
Is nationwide on the network service of the NTA. More stories after this commercial break.
2018 Abuja. Theme, Archiving for Creativity. Date, December 1st to 7th, 2018. Featuring film screenings, masterclasses, special tributes, NFC Annual Film Lecture, NFC Annual Essay Competition Awards, special national and state days, Lifetime Achievement Awards, and Zuma Film Festival 2018 Awards. Submission of entries for non-competition, competition, and screening is ongoing and closes September 30th, 2018. All entries should be forwarded to the festival director, Zuma Film Festival Nigerian Film Corporation, headquarters in Jos, and or its zonal offices in Abia, Lagos, Kano, Asaba, Yola, and Abuja, or through the Film Freeway online platform, www.filmfreeway.com. For further inquiries, call 0033146842, 08052728321, or 08063390420, or visit the website www.zumafilmfest.gov.ng. Zuma Film Festival 2018. December 1st to 7th, Abuja, Nigerian's foremost film festival.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Join us every Saturday by 10 p.m. for Eye on the Road.
The program from the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA.
We'll bring you highlights of policies and programs on road maintenance. You'll hear from road users as well as those charged with maintaining the roads.
It's interactive, it's informative, it's educative.
It's Eye on the Road, showing Saturdays at 10 p.m.
Do you have Java? Yes. Anambra. Black or white? Yamala. Have I ever eaten white amala here before? Give me amala, Anambra. Do you have dodo? Dodo program. Good. Let me have some dodo. I want you to put the meat in a bowl. Shaki, suku, abodi. I like my edo to be very tender. You have stockfish? Yes, sir. Good. Let's have some stockfish. And the catfish, my favorite. Don't mind them. You have eggs. I would like 6 boiled eggs. No eggs? The catfish will do. And then rice and some salmon. Look, Mama, do you have a kuru?
Welcome back to the concluding part of Nationwide. Every culture has its customs and peculiar ways that makes it unique from others and endears people to it. You will be surprised that Borno State, which the insurgents have tried to bring to its knees, is still proud of its name, Borno Kiji, meaning a place of happiness and enjoyment in Kanuri language. Let's move over to Maiduguri and learn more from Jumai Yusuf.
Like a jewel of inestimable value, Borno at the height of Canon Borno might remained a center of socio-economic and religious contact with empires in the West, North Africa, Sudan, and nations beyond the Mediterranean, maintaining a rightful place in the sub-Saharan trade.
When Borno was having an established, structured, administration in terms of political, military, social, and economic, even the Great Britain was just, starting up. So therefore, Borno became so great, and because of the resilience and the attitude of its leaders of accepting everyone.
Today, Borno serves as a principal trading hub in Nigeria and Africa, bringing together people from all over the country and beyond, cutting across ethnic, religious, and tribal lines. Maiduguri, the state capital, is a city with a cosmopolitan population, engaging in lawful business and living peacefully, as most of the settlers from within and outside Nigeria have adapted the culture and language. Thus, it is not unusual to hear them use the phrase Borno Kiji to describe Borno.
Borno Kiji, Kermade, Lewa Napkata.
Yoro Angala, Borno Kiji, Okami Mostatin. Soro we were saying if you can school. Now then Kasudikin.
Although the insurgency has taken its toll on the state, but with appreciable peace being restored to Maiduguri, the state capital, population has doubled as people are returning to pick up the businesses and lives they left behind at the peak of the insurgency. This is a clear indication that Borno is indeed the home of peace and hospitality. Thus, Borno Kiji, a place of comfort and joy, infrastructural development and provision of social amenities despite the challenges of the Boko Haram insurgency.
It would be out of place if you describe the phrase Borno Kiji as multifaceted, taking into account the endowment abound in the state, such as its rich cultural heritage, food, attire, and most especially its unique hospitality to people, especially visitors. In Maiduguri, Jumai Yusuf, NTA News.
Thanks, Jumai. Our next report is from Oshun. With less than 2 weeks to the Osun State governorship election, the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, Brigadier General Suleiman Kazauri, has warned corps members to be apolitical and security conscious. The Director General gave the warning during a visit to NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp in Ede, Osun State. Olainka Ojo has more.
Some of the corps members in this hall will be involved in the election as INEC ad hoc staff come 22nd of this month for the governorship election in Osun State. This is because the contributions of youth corps members have brought transparency, credibility, and fairness to the electoral process in Nigeria, a testimony from both local and international observers. Addressing the youth corps members at the orientation camp in Osun State, Brigadier General Suleiman Kazauri warned them to avoid any form of inducement from politicians before, during, and after elections. He reiterated that youth corps members' court will face the wrath of the law.
To be neutral, to be non-partisan, and they should respect the rule of law.
And urge them to be security conscious.
We are in constant collaboration with all the security agents, police, army, and they assure us that their security is guaranteed during, even and after election.
The NYSC boss also inaugurated a 4-bedroom NYSC clinic built through the effort of staff and friends of the scheme. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, who had earlier visited the NYSC Orientation Camp Clinic, promised to provide the necessary facilities. Olainka Uju, NTA News.
Next, sports. President Muhammadu Buhari charges the Tigresses not to let the country down in Spain as Golden Eaglets battle Ghana Starlets on Sunday in Niamey. This and more with Tamara Ibiwe on Sports Update.
President Muhammadu Buhari has appealed to the female basketball